Hey everyone, this is TJ from Every Story Begins With Us, and today is a story time. I'm gonna set the stage so that the point I want to make in this video can be understood better. And I'm gonna tell a short story of my mother. She was out in the yard mowing the grass one day, and afterwards she started complaining that her back was hurting. And it didn't go away. This was in March of that year. So in April, she went to the doctor. Nothing's really wrong with you, let her go. She went back a few days later. She's like, no, something's not right. This went on through April and most of May until she finally demanded to have testing done because the doctor told her that this was all in her head. She demanded to have testing. They finally tested her and discovered a tumor in her kidney, a large tumor. So her back pain was from the tumor in her kidney. This was in June when she was finally diagnosed. By November, she had passed away from cancer. This is the kind of treatment that we experience as Black people in this country, especially in the medical field. They don't take you seriously, they dismiss you, and by the time you finally get the right diagnosis or even get them to test you, a lot of times it's too late. But one thing that I that stayed with me through all of this was a conversation I had with my mother a few days before she passed away. We were talking, and she stated to me that the only thing she wanted was for me to be happy. That was all she wanted for me, was for me to be happy. And after that conversation, about a day or two later, she got to the point where she couldn't speak. And then that Monday in November, she passed away. And here I am, this little person, now realizing that I'm going to have to go through adulthood with no mother who's going to be there for advice, for when I get married, for when I have children, all of those things. And so as an adult, I've tried to do the best that I could to make the right decisions without that guidance, because those moments in life came and I didn't have my mom. I had another relative who recently passed away this summer. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's at the age of 50. He worked for a year or two before he had to retire because of the Parkinson's. And he was 74 when he passed, so he lived with his Parkinson's for over 20 years. But he told me after he was forced to have to go into retirement that he thought his retirement was going to be different, than what it turned out to be. He thought he would be able to travel and do things, but here he was physically unable to do things that he thought he would do. And he told me to try to make sure I do the things that I want to do now before it's too late. This was back when he was in his 50s. So I've had these last years to take in the advice of my mother and then later on take his advice. And I've tried to live my life that way. I would take breaks from work for a month. And people would never understand, how could you do that? How could you afford to do that? I did contract work, so I was able to, in between, a contract that I finished and a new contract, I could just take a break for a month, not a few days, or just go right into the next contract. I would take a break. I would, if I was working and just began to feel burnt out, I would take a vacation day and just relieve stress, just do something that I wanted to do that day, go to the river, go to the mountains, whatever the case may be. I always did that, and I would always take my birthday off every year, and my coworkers would be like, huh, your birthday? But then I started having coworkers copy. After a few years of me being on a particular job, they would start taking their birthdays off too. They were like, eventually we're like, this is a good idea, just taking a break for yourself. And that's the point of this video. You control your peace. You have to take control of it. You have to do what makes you happy. And when you're feeling stressed out, overwhelmed, you need to unplug from the matrix and you need to just bring that stress level down. Do something that makes you happy. For me, that's gardening. I love to go out into the garden and work, and I can spend hours out there. I love to go to the ocean and just sit. I love to walk through the mountains. I just love to get out and do things out in nature. Those are the things that help me relieve my stress. And about a week and a half ago, I was in the middle of writing up my next video to put out. And I was just feeling so much stress and pressure in my head. I just sat that story down, got up, and for the last week and a half, I have been finishing up a project in my garden that I had been wanting to do for the last few years. I didn't want to be at a point in my life where it never got done and I wish I had done it. So I stopped and I just started doing something that made me feel good, and that was going out to work on that project and disconnecting from all of the bad news. I've kept up with it, but I have not, stayed deep into all of the things that are going on. You have to do that for yourself sometimes. You have to pull back, relax, try to remove some of that stress from your mind, from your body. You'll just make yourself sick if you don't. You'll become overwhelmed if you don't. You have to find that happy place. And that doesn't mean a big vacation around the world. It can mean a trip to your backyard to plant flowers. It could mean going to the museum by yourself, leaving your kids and your husband at home, and just walking around for one peaceful day in that week. We all can do something to take a break from all that's going on in this world. We have to take control of our own peace. And I feel like this message is for someone. My mother said, I just want you to be happy. And so for all of you who follow me and who listen to my videos and enjoy everything that I do, take time to do something to make yourself happy. You have to disconnect from everything sometimes. Stop listening to the bad news, especially for Black people in America. There's so much information that comes towards us that reminds us of our situation, past, present, and what it could be in the future if we don't do anything to change. Disconnect from that. Find your peace, relax, do something that makes you happy. Spend a day, let the husband take care of the kids and you go do something for yourself, a massage or anything. But just take time for yourself. Do what makes you happy. Don't wait until you're too old and you have an illness that is going to keep you from doing it, or a cancer that takes your life from you, and so you're not here to do the things you dreamt of. And that is just the message that I wanted to give today. I don't know why, but I felt like that was a message that someone needed to hear, and I wanted to record that and give that to you. There's plenty of time for me to put out other stories of our people, stories that are going to make us angry, stories that are going to make us proud. But sometimes we need to just stop and share a message reminding ourselves that you have to take a break. You have to stop sometimes. Take control of your peace. So guys, that's it for today's video. And as always, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment on what you think about today's story. I'll see you soon.